You guys stick around for a little while?
Sure.
Sure, I'd be glad.
We're going to bring up our last guest.
Awesome.
All right. He was a real good friend of Joe Franklin. Worked with him a lot. He's on Saturday Night Live. Let's give it up for Bob Greenberg.
It's time for my reading glasses. It's time. How are you?
You're not that funny. How
Oh,
are
thank you,
pal?
Johnny. Good to see you.
What's
Good
going
to
on
see you.
here?
Nothing much. Can I use this?
I left a roast beef sandwich over there for
A
you.
roast
for later.
beef. All right. So those are my glasses, Johnny.
How's it going?
He's taking my glasses.
Oh, these are yours?
Yeah.
I thought you were
It's
busting.
time to steal Bob Greenberg's glasses.
I thought you were busting my chops.
No, look. This is. You see, it's a callback, Johnny. It's a callback.
This is the Joe Franklin.
Someone answer that, will you,
This is
please?
remembering Joe Franklin, not the Buster Johnny P show.
Well, let me tell you something. Joe used to say, it's nice to be important, but it's more important to be nice. Joe Franklin used to say that, right, folks?
Yes.
Yeah. And the first time I saw Joe Franklin was on television at 1 in the morning, Channel 9. He would show old movies like Fatty Arbuckle, Joe Cook, Clark and McCullough. And I was a tween, and I would call Joe when I'd come home from school. He was in the white pages. He'd answer the phone, Joe Franklin, and you could talk to him. And I'd ask him about Fatty Arbuckle or whatever. And he knew I was a kid. And he'd always say, be good to mommy and daddy now, you know? And one day, I guess because I was young, I had sort of a high-pitched voice, he says to me, he says, this is one day he says this, he says, and be a good girl now, okay? Be a good girl. And I was so embarrassed that I said, okay, Joe, I'll be a good girl. And I think I have been a good girl. Honestly, I think I have over the years. So the years pass, and I wind up doing his show. I did his show in 1993, which was the last year of this. When I say the show, I say the WRTV Channel 9 show. And he was like, I think Frank mentioned, other people mentioned, he had a very eclectic couch, you know. You'd be sitting there next to Hitler's grandson. And then on your left, somebody who collects spit. A lady who wrote a book about crochet, you know. And every so often, he'd say things like, Bob Greenberg, what do you think of Hitler's grandson? And, well, what could you say? Well, I never cared for your grandfather, but you seem nice, you know. What could you say? What could you say? And if he wanted you to do a bit like my Jackie Gleason doing Shakespeare, all of a sudden he'd say, Bob, how would Jackie Gleason do Shakespeare? And you would just do it sitting down. You would be doing a stand-up bit sitting down. But that was Joe Franklin. And the years rolled by. I wound up doing his comedy club at TGI Fridays. Also before that, it was Charlie O's. And he was such a sweet guy. His last office was 43rd Street and 8th Avenue. We're trying to get the street co-named Joe Franklin's Memory Lane.
That'd be great.
Yeah, that would be nice.
Right or wrong. If there ever was a name belongs on that street, it's Joe Franklin's.
And I'm very proud to say I was instrumental in getting a memorial plaque at the Actors Temple. Joe Franklin's up there on the wall, so I'm very happy that I was involved in that. So, because he should be remembered. He would say to me towards the end of his life, he would say things like, Bob, keep me close, keep me close. And I think I am keeping him close. I think we're all keeping him close. He was a divine guy. If I went to an audition or something, I'd drop off at his office and he'd say, this is going to be your year, kid. This is going to be your year. It's always optimistic, always positive. And you don't find many people like that in show business. He was truly one of a kind.
No.
And I once said to him, I said, Joe, you're the end of an era. And he said, in one era and out the other. He was amazing. And he will not be replaced. He is part of New York that ain't Starbucks, ain't Duane Reade, you know. He's part of Orange Julius. He's part of the Fascination Arcade. He's another time. And it's so great that he was able to touch us. He was really a time traveler. Because he was the king of, he'd say, he was the king of nostalgia, but he'd say, I'm the king of neuralgia. But no, he brought back that stuff. And guys like you and me and Pete and Frank and, you know, we all were touched by him. And he was pure showbiz. And I don't think we're going to see the likes of him again. I think we can sort of try to carry the light, try to pass the baton. But he was the best. God bless you, Joe.
Yeah, Joe Franklin. Now, Bob, where can people find you on the internet? They got to find you.
I'm old, so I'm on the Facebook.
No.
Bob Greenberg, parentheses, comedian, New York. I'm on the Facebook. I'm on the Facebook! For God's sake, I'm on the Facebook! Not Twitter, not the other thing. Oh, that's my camera. No, that's my camera. God damn it, which is my camera? Hi, how are you? I'm on the Facebook. Bob Greenberg, comedian.
All right. Bob, I'll see you sometime in the future.
Thank you.
Have a seat.
Have a seat. Let me put on my glasses here.
Oh, God.
Where the am I? Where the am I?
Well, we made it to the end of the show, and I'd like to thank all my guests for coming and being part of this, as Joe would say, one for the archives.